Okay, let's start the chain sync. So, see, Misha, can you give us update if you have any from last week?
I was away for most of the week.
Okay.
I'm only continuing to investigate the RocksDB bug.
Okay. Yeah, actually, on that topic, I think it seems to me that actually some other people also reported that they run into that issue. But from what they reported, it seems like it's actually related to running out of memory. So it feels to me that might be related. Yeah, but also, do you think this would take us a very long time to figure out, or do you think it's something that can be understood relatively quickly?
I hope that it can be. Like the issue may pop up later again. It's actually a problem, and it's most likely in RocksDB.
Okay. Well, I mainly fear that we spend too much time trying to understand this issue, where it's it occurs only very occasionally right now. I mean, I agree it is a problem, but if we were to spend a lot of time on this, maybe it's not the most worthwhile thing to do.
Yeah, I think maybe like I'll try a couple more things and then give up on it.
Okay. Let's see, is Kipyor here? Okay, looks like Kipyor is not here for some reason. So I fixed some tests last week. So the Python tests, quite a few of them, were failing for a while. Mostly because there's some change to the RPC that kind of breaks some of the assumptions that some of the tests have. A lot of them were relying on the assumption that the RPC requests were routed, but then that got removed. So I had to fix tests there. And yeah, so now most of the tests are fixed. And I think Alex said he's going to fix some of the cross shard. Well, let's maybe just take a look. Oh, yeah. I think there are only 3 tests that are failing right now on the stable version, and then 6 that are failing on nightly. So yeah, some of the test failures are related to the cross-shard TX, which fail because it doesn't incur enough forkfulness, and then there's actually a cert on the amount of forks that's being produced in this test. So yeah, I think Alex says that he's going to fix this. So hopefully that's going to work soon. And yeah.
Sorry, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Like, so for now, it's still better to run NIDAC both on master and like branch I'm working on.
You don't need to run on master because it is run automatically, right? You can essentially just check, what's the latest run, from master. For example, this is the latest.
Okay, sure.
And then you can run it on your branch. I mean, on your branch is definitely not automatically triggered. Oh, yeah. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So there's one thing about. Okay, looks like we don't have any other updates. Okay, but there's one thing I wanted to discuss, which is this validator selection algorithm. Oh, but not specifically about how validator is selected, but there are some implications. So previously, we had this concern that we may run into trouble if too many people submit staking transaction at once. The reason is that their accounts are updated when a staking transaction is submitted. Well, if they try to stake more, and then later on at some future epoch, that amount might be returned to them if, for example, they're not selected to become a validator. That mostly works fine until you actually consider the case where people can submit a lot of them. The problem with that is that currently the update happens at the beginning of the epoch, which means potentially in one block there can be, let's say, 1 million updates, 1 million state updates happening at the same time, and that would cause major problems. So the way we kind of deal with this is that we say there is a minimum threshold at which your stake must be over in order for your staking transaction to even be considered, to even generate a proposal. And that threshold is currently done using a threshold of 1/10 of the seed price of the previous epoch. Now this works mostly fine with the current setting where the seed price is done through kind of an auction, and it's pretty much that gives you a reasonable number to which is pretty high today. I think it would be more than 300,000 year, so it's pretty reasonable. But with this change to how the validator selection algorithm is done, we're now taking presumably the first 400 proposals from all the validator. No, sorry, everyone who proposes something. This may lead to a problem, which is that if we still use the heuristic that we do today, we may be subject again to the same attack that people can submit a lot of staking transactions from a lot of different accounts, and then this would cause major problem at the beginning of some epoch. So so I wanted to discuss this topic. Is the problem clear to everyone, or people want me to clarify a bit more?
So how exactly are the validators selected in the new system?
Yeah, so it is basically there are two different kinds of proposals, right? So proposal to become a block producer and proposal to become a chunk producer. And I think the way they're selecting now is that we take so for block for block producer proposals, we'll select at the most 100, right? So that means we take top 100 proposal from those proposals, and then separately for chunk producer proposals, we also take top however many we decide there should be however many chunk producer we decide there should be, let's say like 300, for example. So that's how it will be done today. Not today, but I mean in the new one.
Can you please repeat, like, what exactly bad will happen if you will have lots of
Yeah,
transactions in the
it's
beginning?
just like in the first block of epoch, it takes like, I don't know, 20 minutes to process. The network would be stalled for 20 minutes.
In comparison with that, we expect like 1 second, right?
Yes, yes. And the cost of this attack is extremely low because it doesn't actually, for example, you can just create 1 million accounts and then you don't actually, because the only cost is in the transaction fees. So the cost of this attack would be extremely low. Well, I mean, not extremely low, but given the cost of, I think the cost of a staking transaction today is less than 1,000th of a near. So yeah, that'd be pretty low.
You still need some reasonable low limit for the amount you're staking.
Yeah. What ideas do you have, Evgeny?
So I think, do I understand correctly that the problem is that currently there are no proposal like for chunk producers, so we can't get a low limit.
Yep.
We can,
basically.
well, we can possibly derive low limit from the proposals for block producers, just reduce it, like, say, get the current seed price for the block producers and say that the low limit cannot be less than 1/100th of seed price for block producers. So probably
yeah, the problem, I thought about that idea. The problem is that it's kind of hard to decide what the threshold should be, because if you make it too high, the problem is that, let's say the maximum is like 300, right? If you make it too high, maybe like you could have reached 300, but then because of you make this threshold, now you only get, let's say, 100, right? So that's probably not a position where we want to be in. Or maybe it is, I'm not sure.
Another approach is just to manually set fixed threshold or like some fraction of total supply. So like, let's say like we need like 10,000 near or 30,000 near as the minimum staking amount.
I see.
With this, I think it can be a problem in the long term because of inflation. But in the short term, this should work, and in the long term, I think there are many things that are going to change, and so we shouldn't expect this code to work and change it in long term anyway.
So essentially, you're saying the threshold should be set as some fraction of the total supply, could be like 1%, less than 1%, something like 0.1%.
Maybe. So this is probably one of reasonable approaches. You can set just fixed amount, and this should work. I think should work if we choose this amount properly. I think we may do some research regarding like how many people actually want to become chunk producers and how much are they planning to stake, and have our decision informed by this research. So fixed threshold may not work well in the long term because of inflation, but we are currently changing our code so quickly that we will probably change the details of this algorithm anyway before inflation will be like significantly change the total supply so much that this fixed amount will be really out of like become unreasonable.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable idea. We can definitely. Yeah, I think it definitely is a reasonable solution, at least in the short term, and in the longer term, as you said, we're probably going to change this anyways. So. Okay. Yeah, that's. Actually, yeah. Anyone else has other ideas or suggestions regarding this? Okay. Looks like no. Yeah, I don't think I've other topics to discuss. Yeah. Anyone else wants to discuss something else? Okay.